This is Umar Ahmed for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. Finally, this fight is on. I'm joined by Neil Marsh. Yes, Avanesan v Kelly is on this Saturday. What happens?
Yeah, like I've just said on the press conference, I've got absolutely no doubt that David will KO Josh. No disrespect, just confidence in my fighter. And I just think it's too soon for Josh. So that's where we are.
Where does that confidence come from in terms of David?
I briefly said it. I just look at the last 2 years. I look at Josh's last few fights. You know, he's had the experience over the 10 rounds. Campos, which I knew was to make him look good, because we got Del Rios as a promotional move. He stunk the house out. He fought a 140 fighter. Didn't have to put up with the pressure what David did. He fought Ray Robinson. Everybody knows they were very lucky in that fight. Different type of fighter, slower pace. You look at the Polish kid before, forget his name, Rawanowski or something, maybe wrong there. He had all his own way. It's okay doing them rounds, but what about the nip and tuck rounds where you've got a real aggressor who's going to throw the kitchen sink at you? And I also touched on that a couple of years ago he was on about moving up to 154, struggling a little bit with the weight. Over the last 2 years he's done a lot of strength training, which you can tell with his muscle. That's going to have added weight. You look at his growth in years as age as an athlete. I think the bones are going to have gone slightly thicker. I think the weight's going to be a little bit harder to make. Don't think he's got the experience. I think David has been on the run of his life. He's got better and better through the losses. And David at one point was going to move down to 140, but he's fully pledged welterweight, because we've also done a lot of strength work to bring him into an even stronger welterweight. Yeah. So you put it all together, and I think my man beats him in many ways.
Of course, David had a brilliant run and form with 3 stoppages in 2019. Now, does that favour Josh a little bit, this fight happening now at this stage? Does that favour Josh a little bit?
No, it would have been nice to do it on the back of them because of the momentum. But the difference is like, I think we've seen photographs of Josh in summer where they were very heavy. Well, our little Russian was running up mountains. You know, he's an absolute model professional. He hasn't been out of camp. He's had little breaks, little weeks off, but he's been training like he would be in camp. Not as intense, but he's been doing a lot of strength and stamina work, and I think we're probably better physically prepared for this than what they are.
Of course, going back to 2018, so you believed, Team Avanesan believed that they didn't want the fight, they changed their minds, etc. Do you think they've strung it out on purpose?
Sometimes, definitely, 100%. But I think it's backfired. You know, we've gathered momentum, they've strung it out. I think, you know, Josh is a talented individual who could achieve anything in the sport, but for some reason I just think his heart hasn't been in it at times with all the inactivity and different things. And I just look at the last couple of years, our activity, their activity. He's been out of camp, out of shape. We haven't. So if that was the plan, I think it's backfired.
How about this week? Obviously, they're all behind Team Kelly. That's their guy. But David does come in as the champion. How do you think you've been treating this week as a team?
No, Matchroom always treat the fight as well. There's no question of that. So obviously there's a lot of rivalry between the teams. A lot's gone on over the last 2 years. You know, that doesn't get forgot, because, you know, the fight's here. You know, there's been pure rivalry. This is a real fight where 2 camps just do not want the other side to win. So, you know, Matchroom are treated as well. I think one thing I do want to say is the British public, unbelievable. And I didn't have a chance to say this, and it might be a bold statement to say, but if this had been in an arena in London or Manchester, we'd have had a standing ovation coming into this crowd. Yeah. And, you know, I could as much say that Josh may have got booed. You know, he'd have his loyal fans and loyal people around Adam, but it's been unbelievable. And from Team Avanesan, you know, thank you so much, because I've never seen it as as big as this. And with a foreign fighter, we know in like America and places like that they accept the foreign fighters, but Britain hasn't really, took to a foreign fighter, and I believe that they'll get behind him even more after this fight.
Yeah, he showed me the messages. He's getting as many messages from Russians as he is from the UK fans.
Josh might not like it, but we've had them from people from Sunderland, from London, genuinely, and there's a lot of question marks over Josh, and rightly so. There's no doubt in his ability. He's a great boxer, world-class athlete, as an amateur. I don't think he's a world-class pro yet. And the British public love true fighting men. And if you look at David's record, we've been in a away corner everywhere. We've had to scrap for everything. We've had to beg, steal, borrow, everything we've done. But that kid's a real fighting man. Look at the people he's been in with. And the British public are good fight fans where they respect that. So when one fighter looks like they're ducking it and one fighter looks like he's fully on with it, thank you for respecting neutral opinions.
Neil, can you just tell me from your kind of viewpoint what went on last night in the bubble?
It's not how can I say? It's not really for public now, is it? We've all done well for just keep it quiet. It's like any bubbling rivalry. There's always a point where you get to the peak of the mountain, and we got to that yesterday, and we don't really need to go into detail, but since then I think there's been a level of respect. Me and Adam's had a couple of chats since, and
a bit of table tennis.
Yeah, it was. That was last night. We had chats last night. We had chats today. I think he respects what I've done for David and the job. I've done. I've always respected him as a coach. I've said that on previous press conferences, etc. I just didn't like what happened. So something come to an end, and I think the camp respect us a lot more through it. And we're all grown men, and it's not for he said, she says. It's just a few handbags, and but it's all sorted now. So we're happy to move on, to say.
Definitely, and just over 48 hours away. We'll ask you, of course, we've seen some terrible scorecards, it's fair to say, recently. And if this does go to points and it's a close fight, are you a little concerned that David might get the favour? Well, not the favours, but might not get a fair decision?
No. Unfortunately, in anything in this situation, you may get 100 good fights and you get one, and people will always talk about the one. We know the fight, what the judging was in question. I know certain refs, judges on that, and been in many fights with them, and they've always give good results and good scoring. And I've seen the appointments for this. There's been a London judge, 2 central area ones, which is my area, and a Scottish one. I've not had much to do with the Scottish and the southern area one, but the 2 central area ones, Mark Lyson, I think if I'm right, he went to Canelo and Callum Smith and give every round to Canelo as the English judge. John Latham I've seen on the circuit many times. I've got respect for them officials. I'm not going to start questioning the officials. In any fight, you should go for the KO and don't leave it in the hand of the judges. If there is any controversy from previous judging decisions in fights, they're going to be under the spotlight even more this week. So, True. So things happen for a reason, and as much as we're confident in the appointment, we're also confident the spotlight's on him. Not that I feel that that's needed. So, it's pretty obvious. Adam knows we're going straight for the KO. We're not leaving it in the hands of any judges if everything goes to plan. So no, I think that's enough said really on the officials. Well,
listen, as I said, only just over 48 hours to go. The fight that the fans have wanted for 2 years now. So listen, best of luck to Team Avanesyan, and hopefully we'll catch a word after the fight. Thanks, Neil.
Thank you. Good luck with everything.